for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Good evening, Fade to Black. Today's Tuesday, February 28th, 2023. Our guest tonight, Billy Carson. And now, before, I'm not going to do some long bio intro of Billy, close friend of the show, Fade or not, of course, and friend. He's been on the show with us many times, but he is the founder of 4Bidden Knowledge, and that network and what he is doing is growing. Huge influence on the community, and people are starting to really notice and listen and learn. Very proud of all the work that he has done. We have got a full year in front of us together, Billy and I and Elizabeth, of events that we're going to be doing. We're going to talk about some of that tonight, of course. And I'm going to get into a conversation about 4Bidden Knowledge. Not only the network, but what is it and what is being suppressed? So we're going to do some of that tonight, too. We're going to have some fun. And I am just going to go straight to it and say, welcome back, Billy Carson.
Hey, what's up, Jimmy? Glad to be back.
Man, so Billy, I'm going to let everybody know, I think most know by now, that I winged it out to Miami for Elizabeth's birthday 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Was it 2 weeks? A week? 2 weeks?
Maybe it's been a week.
So anyway, we lit it up all weekend. We had so much fun. Yeah. But this was me on the flight back.
Yeah, you were partying, man. You had a great time. All team fun, though. It was great.
The wheels touched down in L.A. Somebody bumped me. Hey, man.
Oh, man.
I'm like, what? Get up.
Wow.
What time zone am I in? Yeah. But what a great time. And can't say it enough. Happy birthday, Elizabeth. And man. So it was perfect. It was a perfect weekend. Yeah. It seems like forever since I've seen you. It's been about a week. Yeah. But let me ask you this. And then we've got a serious show we're going to do today, Billy. How are you guys? Were you guys right back at it? I mean, I needed a day of rest. I had to go back to work. You know, I had Fade to Black and everything else. Right. But how about you guys? Did you need a day to recover?
Remember, we were going to meet you after the next morning after the party at the Four Seasons before you flew back. And we ended up not getting into bed till about 4 a.m. So we knew that we had a big day ahead of us. And so we had to get some, we woke up late and we're like, you know what? Let's just get some sleep and rest, because literally that afternoon at 3 o'clock, we're back recording, filming, writing, contacting producers, networking, and the whole thing.
Okay, I'm going to let everybody know Billy's cleaning that up quite a bit. Let me tell you the real story. The real story is the night before, we're all in the living room and you know, saying our goodnights and stuff. Yeah. And I said, man, you know, so you guys just thank you for the week and everything. And, you know, I'm flying out tomorrow. And Elizabeth goes, no, breakfast at the Four Seasons at 9 a.m. I go, right. No.
I was actually up, but she couldn't get up. She was too exhausted.
Stop. I'm telling the real story. Billy goes, 9 a.m., Jimmy, we will be there. And I said, okay, I'm gonna be there at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Billy's a no-show. I was like, I knew it. You guys kept it going, and it was so funny. We had a great breakfast, and it was fun.
I'm sure you guys had everybody who was down there on that side had a great breakfast. But yeah, She just couldn't, she just couldn't get up. I mean, I did 14.4 miles. My Aura ring recorded 14.4 miles at the party. That's in the house. So I walked
in the house.
miles in the house.
Billy called me. He was so proud of that. Yeah. Church, I did 14 miles in the house.
3,800 calories.
That was too much, man. It was a great weekend. So I want to get a few things out of the way before we start talking, because we have a very, very busy 2023 coming up in front of us. And we have 2 awards ceremonies that we're doing. And the first one is coming up at the end of March, which is March 31st, April 1st, out here in LA. Yeah. It's the Parapod Festival, and you are going to receive a very special award. You're going to come out and do that. And you're also going to take an opportunity to speak and things. What are you going to talk about at Parapod?
I've been thinking about the topics. I'm trying to get something that fits into the genre of the people that are going to be there. Obviously, it's dealing with paranormal UFO type community. So I'm probably going to talk a little bit about the mystical aspects of the ancient Egyptians and the Anunnaki, and some of the things, for example, how the theories of the Egyptians with the afterlife and beings that would come from other realms to Earth and turn mud into a kingdom. All those different types of things. I want to talk about those things. These beings that have the heads of different animals. What are they? Are they really animals? Are they people? I'm probably going to get into that topic, talk about some of that stuff.
Yeah, that sounds great. Talk. That sounds cool. And that's April 1st. We're going to do a ghost hunt Friday night on March 31st. We're going to a ghost town, Billy.
Yeah. No, I can't wait. I've never been to a ghost town, so I'm interested in seeing what the heck is going to happen.
See, here's the trippy part about this. This is next to my house. Okay, it's called Mentryville. Wow. And it's an actual ghost town. You would think that it's a Hollywood prop or something that was built by the movie studios or something when you hear about something like this. But it's an actual. So everything's there: the school, the bar, the saloons, the houses, the school. Everything is there. It was built 1850, 1860, 1870, then abandoned. But it's all still there. So we get to go and do a ghost hunt, and we're going to do a sky watch. I'm going to bring all my gear, and we've got Ben Hansen there too as well. And we're going to do a sky watch and hang out on Friday night. It's going to be really cool.
Oh, it's going to be incredible. Incredible. I just want to say something real quick. Shout out to Mary Concierco Coelho. She's been a great supporter of mine for a very long time. I see her in the chat right now. And she's been doing a lot of admin work in my Facebook groups and supporting me and posting in other apps that I have and cleaning up all the trolls and stuff and just working her butt off for free for a long time. I tried to pay her. She says, no, friends don't take money. She's just a great person. So shout out to Mary. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, we've got a few of our Egyptian boot camp friends in the chat tonight.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah. And the thing is, when I go and I look at the videos from our trip to Egypt, and we're going back this year, everybody, we'll talk about that in a second. I look at that, and that was a family, right? We came together, and we're still all in contact, and we're friends, and it's just absolutely amazing. It's what was built there in Egypt, and it's going to continue. We're going back to Egypt, and I can't wait to not only go back but to hang out and just keep what we got started to keep it going. And it's just so much fun to see them in the chat room tonight. Hello, everybody.
Oh yeah, it's a family affair.
It is. It truly is. So we've got Parapod April 1st, and then we've got the awards, the 4Bidden Conscious Awards in Miami. That's July 30th.
Yeah.
A couple of things that I want to discuss this with you a little bit in depth. We haven't talked about it on the show yet. That not everybody can make it to these events. And it's East Coast, it's West Coast, it's, and there's always that issue. Why can't we do something out here? Well, now you've got a very, very special, cool thing set up for everybody. And I want to understand this perfectly. You have got a special for everybody where they can fly with hotel from anywhere in the continental United States for $199.
$199. They're going to fly. That's going to include their airfare and their hotel for 2 nights. That's per person, anywhere continental U.S. to Miami, so you can make it to the 4Bidden Conscious Awards. All you have to do is just show up. So you go to forbiddenknowledge.com and you vote for Jimmy Church. Right? I mean, he's one of the. You have a lot of votes already, Jimmy.
What?
Look at the vote list today. You have a lot of votes already. Believe it or not, I know. But they're on there. There's a huge spreadsheet. You'll see it's a huge spreadsheet, and quite a few people who I've never recognized or didn't even know about. So I want to check those people out too. But you can vote for free. So you go to forbiddenknowledge.com, go to 4Bidden Conscious Awards, vote by text or by web ballot. Get yourself a ticket to the event and show up, because you're going to get airfare. So what'll happen is once you vote and you register for the event by getting a ticket, you'll get an email with your certificate to be able to actually get that $199 special from our sponsor, where your airfare is only going to be literally free. You're just paying the taxes and the hotel. The hotel and airfare taxes combined equal $199.
That is crazy town, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that is totally awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, who does that?
This is going to be incredible.
Man. And the event space, I don't have a picture of it here. I might be able to pull it up.
Yeah.
Or do you have it?
I can send it to you right now. Yeah.
No, you can probably share it on your screen. I just have to add it.
Right,
Billy and I are using the same software. See, and
there you go.
But $199 include 2 nights, a hotel for 2 nights and airfare anywhere in the continental United States. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's an incredible sponsorship. I've used this company before, and they came through 100% a few years back. But I think it was like 4 years ago. And I reached out to them, and they said, "Let's go." Had another call with them this morning, and everything was confirmed. And we're a green light. So, listen, if money's holding you back because it's just going to be too expensive because the flights have all gone up.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Flights are ridiculous now, right? But if it was holding you back, there's no more excuses. Now you can be there. You can meet me. You can meet Jimmy. You can walk the red carpet, take pictures with us in person. And I'm speaking that night too. So it's going to be great.
That's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. And I think it's about time that this community starts to recognize those. I mean, that's the Parapod Festival, right? And your award ceremony where we here's the facility, but so many dedicate their lives, whether it's to a TV show that they self-produce, they self-write, or a documentary, a book that they write, a podcast, and they do dedicate themselves. And don't, they do it for the spirit of it, and they do it for the community, and they do it for their own personal reasons, but they don't get recognized. And that's the best part of this is I can't wait. I get to, I get the honor of handing out these awards all night long. I get, man, and it's such, I cannot wait for this. And this is the venue. Which is, look at this, everybody. Blow this up. Can you blow this up a little bit? Or no?
Let me see if there's any way to get it bigger.
No, it's okay. Leave it up. Tell us about this facility.
The facility is the Adrian Arch Center for Performing Arts in Miami. It's an incredible venue. It's one of those venues that when you walk in, it literally takes your breath away. And so it can seat well over 1,800 to 2,000 people. There's box seats available as well. Those box seats are private seats. with private entrances with champagne and hors d'oeuvres in them, and you get access to the pre-event mixer to chat with Jimmy and I and all the other winners and nominees and the talent that's performing that night before the event starts. And then the seating, no matter where you sit in this place, though, it's all a great seat. No matter where you sit, you can still see pretty clearly. It's just a phenomenal place, and it's going to be a black tie affair, red carpet outside. Also, Jimmy, we're giving away an Audi A4 at the event.
Yes,
It'll be an Audi A4 with a big bow on it, and you have to be there in person to win it.
Man. So, Audi A4. I like the way that you have always done this kind of thing, because you're also raffling away Elizabeth's AMG Mercedes. You've done a Rolls Royce. You gave away another car too. What was the other one?
It was a Ford something Sport. It was all blacked out with the blacked out rims and the loud pipes and all that. Yeah.
And I love that aspect of this, and about you and how you and Elizabeth come up with these ideas to give this stuff away. I think it's just incredible. So an Audi A4 that night.
Yeah.
And you know the bonus though, this is a black tie affair. So you know, wear your finest and just to go and celebrate this community. It's just man, it's just so cool. Now everybody can vote over at 4Bidden Knowledge. We sound like an infomercial right now, but we've worked really, really, really hard to put this event together, and we're very proud of it. It's just going to be an extraordinary evening, but it's all about the community. Okay, so everybody just head over to 4Bidden Knowledge. We have 10 awards, 10 categories. Go through and get your voting in, because it's the community that is going to determine the winners of these awards. So very excited about that.
Absolutely. 11 categories and a 12th Lifetime Achievement Award for the 12th spot.
Oh, okay. Now see. And then, okay, so that's July 30th, 4Bidden Knowledge. If you haven't joined 4Bidden Knowledge, the links are below in the description box, forbiddenknowledge.com, forbiddenknowledge.tv. Get over there and check out all the excellent programming that happens there. I know I advertise Billy every day on the show here, but the links are below. So go over. And also the Parapod Festival is the Conscious Awards are below too as well. And Parapod. So all of the links are below. Right. One last thing before we start this chat tonight. We're going back to Egypt.
Oh, yeah.
So what are the dates on this?
That's going to be, I'll give you the exact dates now. Let's see here. We're looking at, and I'm just looking above the camera because I'm looking at the tour link right here. Upcoming tours, 10-day tour. So let's see. The 10-day tour is October 5th through the 15th. This is all on forbiddenknowledge.com with the number 4, October 10th through the 15th. And then the 4-day tour is right after that, pretty much, October 17th through the 20th. So those are the 2 tours right there. So we have 2 tours coming up back-to-back in October of 2023. It's an amazing time. You don't want to miss it. We had such a beautiful time. We celebrated Jimmy's birthday on the Nile. It was amazing.
Yeah. I was going to do the short tour, Billy, but the long tour is on my birthday again.
I know. Yeah, I know. I saw that. Yeah. You might as well make it a back-to-back.
Oh, man.
10 days, though. It's 10 days.
Billy's boot camp. Billy's boot camp.
I saw Cynthia in the chat. Cynthia is the one who came up with the name Billy's Boot Camp.
She did.
She was there with us this last year.
Cynthia's so cool, man.
Yeah.
And Cynthia, are you coming back with us? Are you gonna do it again? I would love to see. I want to see some new faces for sure. but man, to just go and hang out with everybody again would be just so special. Keep it annual, you know. So now we've got as the months roll by, we've got some other events too as well that we're going to be doing together throughout the country. Billy let me know last week that they're working on those dates right now, and as all of that gets finalized, I'll hit everybody here and keep everybody posted. So wow, and what a year it's going to be, 2023. Man, I was talking to Sid Goldberg earlier today, and he was asking me about Miami and some other things. And he said, "Man, you and Billy," I said, "Look, 2023, you know, because he's calling me about the TV show. We've got to get all that worked in." He goes, "Man, sleep is for sissies. Just ask Billy. We don't need sleep.
We got to get it in right now. Well, while we still have legs, you know, I mean, there's plenty of time for rest later, but right now there's a momentum building and the paradigm shift is happening on this planet. And we're in the forefront of that. And we have to lead from the front, not from the back."
Do you remember, it's exactly what we're talking about right now. At the beginning of the pandemic, you and I had some conversations off air about taking this opportunity to get stuff done, and that this wasn't going to last forever. And when it's over and it's done, you want to be in traffic at the front. You don't want to be on the entrance ramp, you know, getting into traffic with people blowing by you.
Right.
You want to be ready to go because everybody else is. And that's how loud did we have to say that, Billy? Right?
Yeah.
How loud?
We talked about it privately. We talked about it publicly on your network. You know, we told people, listen, don't let this opportunity slip you by. This opportunity of this shutdown, there's a positive thing about this, and everyone should have taken advantage to follow their dream, follow their heart, follow their passions, and work and incrementally at it every single day. That's something I learned from Kobe Bryant, the Mamba mentality. People ask him, how did you get so good? And he said, while everyone was sleeping, while everyone was partying, I was in the gym working. And so the distance that I was spreading between them and my skill and their skill level just kept building every single day. And by the time they turned around, I was light years ahead of them. That's the same technique that I used in, you know, building this empire and growing this business so that I can be at the forefront of helping bring knowledge to the planet.
There really isn't an excuse to not get stuff done. No. There isn't a viable thing that anybody can say. Yeah. There are people out there with some serious physical issues that they're going through, and they get stuff done. You know, and if you've got 2 arms and 2 legs, you get your stuff done, man.
Man, listen.
It just doesn't make any sense. And I should go back and talk about this more. I used to ask people this question: if you live to the age of 70, how many days is that? Is it 2.5 million, 250,000, 25,000, or 2,500 days? And people go, 250,000. Oh, really? Is that what you think?
250,000.
Right. It's 25,000 days.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
That's it, man.
It's 25,000 days. And if
blink.
Blink.
That's it.
Yeah,
It's over.
Blink. And so here I am, you know, at my age, I'm 60, right? I've got like 2,000 days left.
Yeah.
You know, or thereabout. That's nothing. And it puts a lump in my throat. It's like, man, what? Really? Do you want to waste any of that time?
Right.
Do you really? No. It's a blink, and people don't realize really what time you have here, and just take advantage of all of it. Sleep is for sissies. Billy's boot camp.
Take advantage of it, man. It happens too fast, and my main priority, main goal is building a legacy for the future generations, not just for myself. I'm not worried about taking care of my daily needs. I'm focusing on what can I build for future generations? And I mean generations plural, not singular. I'm not focused on just only my kids. Most people focus on themselves or their kids. I'm talking about generations into the future. I'm planning for 1,000 years, because that's what the Anunnaki did.
The fact that what I just mentioned right here, it should be discussed every single day, right?
Yeah.
Aware there are aspects of our lives and of our history that isn't taught to us, that isn't spoken about.
Yeah.
You've called your company Forbidden Knowledge, but that is the case. Why is it that they need to suppress what we should be taught from birth?
Well, if they suppress the information that you should be taught from birth and hide it from you, then they can hide who you truly are. They can hide the true power that's inside of each and every one of us. They can hide hide us from reaching our full potential. They can pull the wool over our eyes. And so what's happened is, people have heard me say this before, when you're born, you're given a name, a race, and a religion, and you spend the rest of your life defending a false identity. People really truly don't know who they are. They're just living off of programming code that's been put into them from the time they were born till the time they are right now, and operating on that programming without really ever trying to supersede or excel or exceed that programming, or even to begin to reprogram that code so that they can find out who they truly are themselves and live their life to the fullest. The main focus that they want to keep us from is realizing that our mission is to bring heaven to earth. We are already in heaven. They don't want us to know that. They want to enjoy their heaven here now while they have us waiting to die so they can live. And I think that that's a big part of the suppression.
Another thing that surprises me is you would think that with the internet today, that knowledge would be everywhere and everybody would have access to it. That's not the case. No. And if you look at, I'm not political, but a really good example is in Russia, there is no Western news. There is no Western influence at all. There are no Western journalists there. There are no television stations. There is no internet. No, you don't have access to that.
Right.
Here in the United States and other countries, we have all of the Russian channels, right? We have ours. We have everything here, and we can make up our own minds on things. And knowledge is power. But it's not like that around the world, and we need to take advantage of the ability to listen to somebody like you and alternative ideas and mindsets, because we have that freedom, and it's never been like that before, has it?
No, it hasn't. As a matter of fact, as you know, I travel nonstop around the world. I mean, in 2022, I traveled around the world 5 times and went to over 200 cities in 11 countries. And so I've been pretty much almost everywhere, not everywhere, but almost. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of places when you go there and you try to log into your apps to do your banking or do business and things like that, or pull up some of your favorite sites even, they're blocked. Like, they are completely blocked. You can't even get to them. In certain countries, you can't even use WhatsApp. Certain countries, you can't use PayPal. Certain countries, you can't log into your bank account. You can't log into certain financial websites. And so there's a lot of blocking. Certain countries, you can't see any news from anywhere else. So there's this suppression. So in America, yes, we have issues. Yes, we have problems. Yes, we need to eventually create a new system, because the one that we have isn't the greatest. But I will tell you this, we still have the most opportunity that I've seen out of any other country that I've actually been to. And because of that, we cannot continue to take the victim mentality and keep blaming. At some point, we got to hold up the mirror, or maybe put your phone in selfie mode and look at yourself and say, I'm the reason why I'm not getting anywhere. Now let me go ahead and fix my problem, because it's really on me. Let me stop blaming everyone else and find a way to get it done.
Do people that point fingers and have excuses and even troll and think that the real issues that are not only are within themselves, but the issues that they are aware of is what they accuse others of, to relieve the pressure off of them, their own trauma and what they're dealing with in their own lives?
Yeah, a lot of it's just a reflection of their self. Or, when people snap out or react and troll and things like that, what it is, it's a reflection of what's wrong inside of their own selves. And they're just out, they're so full of trauma and turmoil and hate, and then it's leaking out into the real world. And, the thing that the internet gave people the ability to do is to lash out at people from behind, this screen. Well, this screen, they believe, is like a bulletproof vest where nobody can reach out and touch them back. So the true inner person that's hiding inside of them that would normally never do something and say something on the street in front of a real person, they will then utilize this screen as a protection mechanism to then lash out, knowing that, at least in their mind, they can never be touched back. And so in some ways, it's been a little detrimental to mental health, these screens, because they give, people a little bit more gall than they really should have. But what's happening is when you see somebody doing that, they're hurting inside. Those people are severely, severely hurt people. There's a sad people. They feel powerless. They have envy, jealousy. They're pocket watchers, and they need help.
The development of this attitude happened pretty quickly.
Oh yeah,
it's how. One of the things that this is, I'm here to piss people off. Let's just talk about this directly. We have, it's like in our DNA where we just want to be lazy and not do the right thing. It's like in our DNA, and you can go and work really hard at something and go, okay, and then the next day right back into your bad habits, and everything. We do it over and over again, and that repeating, the famous quote, right? Insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. But it's really true, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's very true.
Yeah, those that affect change in themselves are those that recognize that and put in an effort to do something about it, right? And it's really it's that simple.
Yeah, it really is simple. It's about changing your habits, right? So you take a habit that you have now and you shift that habit into one that benefits you. You take the habit that's taking away from you and taking away and hurting others, and you shift that habit into one that's better for you. And the process that hurts and where we get caught up is that shift, the shift moment. So when you begin to try to shift from this to this, that pivot that you're taking, there's a moment in between, and the time slot in between that pivot varies depending on what you're trying to change. It could be days, hours, it could be months, it could be years, but that's an uncomfortable place to be in the middle of the pivot, because that's when you're fighting against urges, you're fighting against your subconscious, you're fighting against the programming code in your body that's been put into you to go back to this old habit. You're fighting against your own DNA, your epigenetic memories, even from ancestors 15 to 20 years prior, that's in your gene code. And so you're in a complete battle trying to go to the full pivot. But once you get to the pivot, once you get to the other side, that habit forming system is in place, the reprogramming is in place, and you become a new person. You literally become born again. That's truly what being born again is all about. Pivoting from one level of consciousness to the next and being able to look back and see where you came from. And you'll be born again many times in the same lifetime.
Yeah, because when you do that, I've done it. I've done it a few times in my life. And when you do that, you just go, man, 3 months ago, I was that person.
Yeah.
Now, is it overnight? No, it's not. Nothing is easy, right? Yeah. But you will get to the point where you can look back 3 months, 4 months ago. Holy crap, things have changed. And I like what's going on. You have to choose the pivot foot and when to do it, and then don't stop.
Exactly. And you have to trust the process. Sometimes in the process, we get lost in the sauce and we think it's not working, or we're not going to get there, whether it's losing weight or whether it's, trying to take on a new skill or whatever it is, or just, becoming a better person even. Right. But it's just like, oh man, it's not working. And we just fall back to the more comfortable, previous place we were consciously, and we give up. Well, you can't give up. You have to continue the fight and the battle, and you will develop a brand new group of habits, and you will reprogram yourself in the process.
I love this. I'm gonna put. I don't do this often. No, Jimmy, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is stupidity. And the thing is, it is so easy. That's the problem. It's so easy to do the wrong thing.
Yeah,
just like life is set up for that. It's too easy to do the wrong thing. Yeah. It's too easy to speed in your car and get a ticket. It's harder to do the speed limit, right? Yeah. It's harder to do your homework and get good grades. It's easier to not do your homework and go out and play with your friends, right? Right. It's life is set up that way. Doing the right thing is hard. Right. Doing the wrong thing is easy. So if you want bliss and you want to chase things, you've got to work for it. Nothing's going to drop out of the sky.
Yeah. It's all about discipline. Can you develop discipline? And when you see somebody that's excelling at a high rate, and you see it like a stock on the stock market that's just shooting up and going through the roof, right? That's because that person has developed a specific discipline in their life. And that is the evidence, that continuous upticking. You may see it go like this a little bit here and there, but it's always in the upward motion over time. That's discipline. And when you see that, you have to recognize that. And you can say, wow, this is what discipline looks like. I should fall in line myself and develop my own disciplines, because I see the result of discipline. It's going to take me up like a rocket ship versus where I am now. I'm flatlining. And that's where you need to make the shift in the way you think.
And there's a blessing in this, though. It's really strange. You go, you put in the effort, you look at yourself, you answer the tough questions. If you're honest with yourself, it's a tough journey, right? It certainly is, but it's friggin' fun.
Oh yeah.
You get on the other side and things feel different, they look different, and it's a fun existence after that, where you just got this thing that was holding you back. I always equate it to like Samsonite luggage hanging off of you, and it's slowing you down. But if you turn around and you start cutting those cords and you get rid of that stuff, suddenly you're free to go. Yeah. And it's a fun place to be, isn't it?
Oh yeah, cutting those cords, man. That's a huge term. Cutting the cords. A lot of us, we don't want to cut the cords. And I had to cut a lot of cords to do what I'm doing and to get to where I'm at. I had to cut family cords, friendship cords, inner circle cords, partnership cords. There's a lot of cords that need to be cut, because not everybody is meant to go on your journey. That's why you're being held back. You're running, but you're running in reverse. You're getting pulled back, right? Because those cords are yanking at you nonstop, keeping you from getting that trajectory that you're looking for. And you have to be willing, and you have to be strong enough to understand how to have tough love. It doesn't mean you don't love those people. It means that those people are holding you back from helping yourself and others. The first thing they tell you when you get on the airplane, when the flight attendant comes on, in case of a loss of cabin pressure and the oxygen mask drops, make sure you have oxygen flowing to yourself before you give it to anyone else. If you can't breathe, forget about helping anybody. So you have to cut those cords, because you're going to need oxygen. Once you get oxygen flowing, you can look back and find creative ways to help many people. But until you get the oxygen flowing for yourself, you can't help anybody.
When you and I post pictures of the two of us together, wherever we are at, the message, and we always say this to everybody, find somebody like this in your life. This is what you need. You need somebody like this, somebody that you trust, somebody that you love, somebody that you respect, somebody that you're not afraid to have a conversation with, and somebody that's going to support you. That kind of friendship is how you grow. And we live that, and we can't. I mean, we shouted from the rooftops all the time, Billy, but we how do we say? We live what we say.
I'll be living it what we say, for real.
Yeah, but we can't. I feel like we repeat ourselves all the time. But look, if you want to have smiles on your face, like Billy and I do just that. You got to make those tough decisions. There are some bags of luggage that you may need to get rid of. But you need to surround yourself with people that support you and that you trust. It's really that easy.
It's really that easy and important. You know, I used to take my family to Melbourne, Florida every year to see family members and do this family thing for the holidays, right? And there were family members that would come and their kids were bad, and they would torture my kids, and we would have all these problems. And then we had other family members that would come over and create drama and start gossiping, and fights would break out. And I'm like, at one point I said to myself, why am I doing this to myself and my family? Why do I feel the need to be a part of this every single year? And one year I just said, you know what? Cut the cord. I'm not going back anymore. And we never went back again. And guess what? We were at peace. We were happy. We thrived. We created our own, holiday time and our own holiday season at our own house, and had people coming over to see us instead of us going to these other places and having people show up, don't know how to act like adults, and kids that were unruly. So, cutting the cord can save so much energy and also bring you peace.
It's really strange when you make the effort to get the negative vibes out of your life, right? And then you start to realize how it affects you. It affects you physically. It affects you mentally. It takes up your time. You spend so much time thinking about something that really is not important.
Exactly.
Right? And you get rid of that. And here's the thing. I'm going to tie this into Egypt in a very strange way. People ask me all the time, what is it, that they want me to say, dude, I went into the king's chamber and my brain blew up, and I did the spiritual journey, and I astral traveled to Pegasus, and it was crazy, right? No. The thing that I recognized about Egypt and forced me to look back at the United States, which I love my country, but the people of Egypt are warm, friendly, cool, no matter what your social status is. Everybody's happy. Everybody's smiling. You and I drove 500 miles into the desert, past these villages with donkeys, right? And what were they doing? Running up to us and moving and smiling and happy and right? And they've had 10,000 years to figure out how to treat each other. Right? What a lesson for the United States and for the rest of the world that is, to you can do it. You can be nice, right? You can smile no matter what. And I don't think a bigger truth could be said about Egypt. What do you think about that? The culture there and how they treat each other.
Well, when you have people that are making $100 a month, and that's high level income, right? And the average person is making probably about $70-80 a month. Extreme poverty in some areas, and they're still finding time to treat each other with respect. They're still finding time to smile. Still trying to find time to be involved with their culture and their arts and their crafts and everything else, and just happy to be alive, And then you come here to America, and you see that a lot of people have become spoiled and feel entitled. And so when you reflect back on both, parts of the world, that's why it's important to travel. You realize that, wow, we're taking for granted a lot of things we have here, because people with 10,000 times less are still finding ways to be happy.
It's an extraordinary thing to see and to experience. And I'm not saying I didn't have a spiritual journey there, because I did, man. I went through some crazy stuff, and I loved it. But over and over again, your entire atmosphere there, as you look around, there's a lot of people in Egypt. That's a crowded Cairo. I was not prepared for that. I was not prepared.
No stoplights, no stop signs,
no lines on the streets,
no traffic lines in the highways.
I've never. Woo, man. So you experience, and they've got it all figured out. They really do. And how to respect everybody and smile. And then you come back here and there's too much of that where nobody says hello. Nobody. You know, you walk down the street, man, you walk down the street anywhere in the United States and say hello to somebody and watch the reaction that you get. Hey, you know, sometimes it's cool. And I like to do that. But I'm walking down the streets in Egypt and I got the army going, welcome, you know, how you doing? It's like, what? You know, with smiles. It's a genuine thing. And that's what we're missing here. I can't stress it enough. We just need to relax and try to figure out how to respect each other. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we will. We're going to get there. And I agree. The paradigm shift is happening.
It's happening, man. It's happening. It's from our perspective, sometimes it seems like it's ticking away a little slow because we don't live that long. But in geological timescales, where things go for billions of years, it's happening very rapidly.
Yeah, and back to the forbidden knowledge aspect of this. Much of your research originally focused a lot on cultures around the world, and specifically Egypt and Thoth and that stuff. But we start to find out, as you have in your journey, that everything is connected. But this stuff it just simply is not taught in schools.
Yeah.
It is absolutely suppressed. And I don't get that. Is the internet starting to open that up for everybody, where before governments had control of what was printed and the books that were taught in schools and the control of knowledge, but now it's not perfect, but if you want answers, you can go and get it today, can't you?
Oh, pretty much you can go get a lot of answers. So you can't get 100%, but you can get about a good 90% of the answers if you really dig deep and start researching, via the internet. And so it's a real great thing. It's a real blessing. The only thing we have now is people are so institutionalized with schooling that they don't even know what questions to ask to dig deeper into topics to find alternative information. That's why shows like yours are so important. That's why forbidden knowledge is so important, and all the other incredible thought leaders that are out here, because it catches the ear of somebody that may be looking for something on YouTube, and next thing you know, your reel's popping up on TikTok or YouTube or whatever. The same thing with me, and now they're listening, and now you're going, wait a minute. Now they're going down a rabbit hole of knowledge, and now they're researchers now, so they start digging into information. That's kind of a backdoor way of getting them, but if they're, I'd like to start a forbidden knowledge grade school where kids are getting homeschooled and getting the real knowledge at the same time they're getting their accredited knowledge, so that they can have both growing up and be taught how to ask the right questions.
Man, I wonder how quickly they would figure out a way to shut that school down.
They wouldn't be able to. I'm forbidden knowledge.
You know what I mean? Let me ask you this. You and I were able to go and stand in front of these monuments and these temples and these structures and through tunnels and things. But when you stand in front of, let's just go with the Great Pyramid. Everybody knows the Great Pyramid. Okay, so you stand in front of the Great Pyramid. What is the first thing that goes through your mind? What is it that you think of first? And then I'll give you my answer.
The first thing I think of is advanced technology. I'm just amazed that, before you get to Giza, they usually take you to the place where they got the guys sitting outside with the copper chisels and the chicken bones making these little vases. And then they tell you that these are the tools that our ancestors used. And then you get to the Great Pyramid and you look at it and you go, technology. This thing is a gigantic functional stone computing device that does all kind of things. And so it blows you away. So that's kind of what I get out of it. As soon as I see it, I think it's some type of technological device.
I think old. There's something. Yeah, there's now I agree with you, by the way, about the technical side of it. I didn't have the spiritual vibe that I got from the Sphinx or Dendera, as an example, or Abydos. Even the Serapeum moved me, even though that's a little bit newer, allegedly. That was a pretty moving experience. But I didn't get the spiritual vibe from the Great Pyramid, number one. Number two, it feels old.
Yeah.
Like old, not 5,000 years old, the age that, the dogma that we're fed. There's something else there. No, dude, it's 1,000,000 years old. I wouldn't be surprised, right? It's like great. I'm not saying it's 1,000,000 years old, everybody. No. I'm saying the vibe that you get is it's not 5,000 years old. No, it
deep
is
antiquity.
much older.
Yeah, deep antiquity. When you look into the Emerald Tablets, Thoth says that I builded the Great Pyramid patterned after Earth's force so that it too might remain through the ages. And this text is approximately 36 to 38,000 years old. According to the ancient Egyptians, he ruled over the land of Kem for 14,000 years himself. So we're talking about something that could be extremely ancient, probably 2 processional periods back with the alignment of the constellation of Leo. So we're talking about 36 to 38,000 years ago. And I think that's around the same time the Great Sphinx was built as well.
And the reason why I say that in such a direct fashion, you can see stuff in Egypt that is newer, okay, and you see that it's got a certain vibe to it. The Great Pyramid is completely different in that aspect. Yeah. And if we go, this is what is messed up. Talk about forbidden knowledge. If we go with the Egyptologist dogma, 2700 BC, right, when this was built,
right,
we know the state of man at that point in time. All right, the Bronze Age was just on the cut. They didn't have the wheel at that point. Nope. There wasn't any organization. This stuff, allegedly, if we go, either that was Stone Age man or it wasn't. But I can tell you that Stone Age man didn't build that. No. So if we go into that timeline, the Great Pyramid just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit in what they're trying to tell us. So it was either built way before that and it was a different culture altogether, or there was something else involved. Could be from up there. I don't know, but it doesn't fit what they're trying to have us believe.
No, it doesn't at all. Thoth talks about the fact that it was he built it in the land of Kem, which is Kemet is where Egypt is. Egypt is a new name. Kemet is the original name. But according to him, he built it after the flood waters from the Great Flood were residing. And an ancient temple came up out of the mud. And his father, Thoth, told him, who's actually Enki, told him to go to the land of Kem and follow the plan that you know of and take a crew. So he took a crew with him and he gets into the great ship of the master. And it ascends into the sky until the earth disappears. And then he travels to the location appointed and he begins to descend from the sky. And he can see the ancient temple beneath him and the people of Kem beneath him. So this is a ship that doesn't sail on the ocean. It's a ship that flies. When he lands and opens the doors to this ship, the people of Kem come to attack him with cudgels and spears. And he raises his staff and he sends out a ray of vibration, striking them still as stone in the mountain. So he has a stun gun that he stuns these people with and tells them stop. Once he unlocks them from this stun weapon, he then begins to talk to them about peace, tranquility. I'm here to help you raise back up to a high level of civilization. And then he begins the rebuilding process of the land of Kem. And that's when he says, builded I the Great Pyramid. So it was built after the Great Flood, approximately 36 to 38,000 years ago.
And see, here's the thing, Billy. That is a believable story. Yeah. That is when you stand in front of the Great Pyramid, the way it wasn't built was 20,000 slaves, and the one next to it, right? Khufu and Khafre were allegedly built at the same time. So I was talking to Robert Schock about this last night. That's 5 million stones, not 2.5 million, right? And so everything is doubled, and then you throw in the whole thing that is the deal breaker is Aswan.
Yeah.
So you want to tell me, because people don't get it. We talk about Aswan and the quarry. That's 500 miles south across the Sahara Desert, down the Nile, 500 miles from Cairo.
Right.
That 500 miles today doesn't seem like a big deal. It doesn't, because we have cars. 500 miles across the Sahara Desert that long ago?
Yeah.
No, might as well be
lugging megalithic granite.
100-ton blocks. Not one, hundreds of them, thousands of them.
With no wheels.
With no wheel. No wood.
No wood. No wood, no wheels.
No.
Come on.
All the wood came from Lebanon.
Yeah.
Inside of this, but I'm going to say this to everybody. Inside of the Bent Pyramid, which was hands down the craziest thing that I've ever done in my life, and Elizabeth pushing me, go church. Anyway, I will never forget that experience of you and I when we, Billy and I and Elizabeth ascended together, right? And so we get down there. It's a couple of 100 feet, maybe farther down in this tunnel, but you come into this. It's at that time it was the largest enclosed room on planet Earth, right? On planet Earth, and it's ginormous, and it goes up. So anyway, all of the wood, that is on the inside there, supporting the walls, going all the way up from Lebanon. That's cedar. From Lebanon.
Cedar wood. That's right. That's where they get it from.
Yeah, from Lebanon. Not from Egypt. There ain't no trees in Egypt.
Right.
There's no grass in Egypt, let alone trees. So how did all of that happen? Without the wheel, without the horse, without anything like that. How were they getting this stuff from Aswan up to Giza? Just answer that for me, and then we can have a conversation.
Right, exactly. And I think that some people tend to think, well, that means Thoth built the Great Pyramid by himself. He's a master architect. And so he laid up the floor plans, right, the blueprint, and taught people how to chip in and obviously help construct, the building or the structure itself. It's not like he got out there with his own tools and his own whatever devices they used and built the whole thing while everybody stood there and watched him. He's the blueprint guy. He's the master architect. That's why the pyramids all around the planet look the same. If you go to Teotihuacan in Mexico, the Pyramid of the Sun is the same exact base size of the Great Pyramid at Giza in Africa. The height of the Pyramid of the Sun is exactly 50% the height of the Great Pyramid at Giza. There's no coincidence there. Both are built on top of ancient aquifers. So obviously, it's the same exact architect. Again, his blueprint has been laid out and has been taken all around the planet.
Check this out. Would the pyramid builder think the buildings we have today are impressive?
No, they would laugh.
They would walk into a Walmart and go, 3 days.
Yeah.
I get this done in about 3 days.
Let me tell you what I do, Jimmy. I go to places, I go into mansions, I go into these nice Class A office buildings, and I look around and I see where the caulking isn't done exactly right, or the molding on the baseboard is slightly off by a few centimeters. And I just look around and I go, look, to the average person, it looks phenomenal. But to me, after going to a lot of these ancient sites and ancient structures, I can pinpoint all the little things that are not done to perfection. And I just go, man, we've fallen a long way.
Yeah. So just imagine, like take your house, for example, or my home, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice places, right? Nice home. Mm-hmm. But imagine if you went to your builder and you said, okay, check this out. You do good work, but I need this to be 1/100th of a degree true north.
It won't happen.
I can't do that.
No.
Right? Why would you want that? Now, obviously, whoever built the Great Pyramid thought it was pretty easy.
Yeah, it was easy. That's why they did it. Yeah.
How do you lay that out? It's so big.
Yeah.
It's so and not make a mistake in laying that out, and level, by the way, too, as well. It's completely level. But when the builders, however it got done, as they're laying this, didn't mess it up by a degree, let alone 100th of a degree. That's incredible to me. Now, let's go back to. I've got to take a commercial break. I've got to run your commercials, Billy. You're supposed to laugh at that point. You're supposed to. I wasn't prepared before we went to Saqqara and Dashur. Before we did that, we were staying at the base of. We were at the Mena House in Giza. Mm-hmm. So we're having breakfast and lunch and dinner, at the base of the Great Pyramid. You can see it, right? It's right there.
Yeah.
It's fun to take pictures. But I was not prepared for the size of the bent pyramid. That's I simply wasn't. That is and the red pyramid, which is it's right down the street, right? It's right there. You can see it
right there.
Which is cool. It's a beautiful pyramid. But the bent pyramid, no, I was not prepared for that. And the casing stones are still, you know what I mean? It looks different. I wasn't. That thing is huge, man.
Yeah, massive, super massive. It's another amazing accomplishment. And the bent pyramid wasn't bent by accident. Mainstream will tell you that, the builders couldn't figure out the angle, so they decided to bend it in and hurry up and finish it. No, one of the people that were my mentors in Egypt literally taught me a lot about this stuff. Now, he used to play in the aquifers underneath the pyramids, because they're all dried up now. This is a person who's homegrown and has been there and lived there and then taught about the pyramid and the structures. The bent pyramid is a diagnostic tool. Those chambers that, like the one that we descended down the shaft and came up into that open chamber that works its way all the way up and has all these different shafts, those chambers some of them filled with water, and some of them have a resonance frequency. And when you gong a certain area, it creates this resonance throughout the pyramid. And it creates this X-ray type image for the person who would be standing way at the very top on the inside, which, this next time we go, we'll go to the very top on the inside. And you can look over and you can see what the image is when someone is in there and they're using it as a diagnostic tool to find out what kind of injury or illness a person has. That pyramid is specifically made as a diagnostic tool. It's not bent by accident. It's bent on purpose.
I was not prepared for that, and we're going to take a break right here. But so Billy and I, we stand, we're at the bottom, and we took some amazing pictures. But in the middle of the room is this wooden stairway that zigzags its way up to the top of the pyramid, and I'm tired, man. I just came down this 300-foot shaft, my old ass, and man, I needed a minute. Billy's like, "Church, come on, let's go." And I looked up. I was like, nah. And you and Elizabeth just went up, but it's incredible to see the size of this.
Yeah.
It's not what people think. You can see it in pictures, but until you are there, and anybody listening to us that wants to come on the trip, please, you've got to go and experience this. You will come off of this trip. If you go, you're going to come back from the bent pyramid and go, "Church, you didn't play this up enough, man. This thing is giant, man. It is simply majestic." When you're walking, we got to take a break, but when you're walking from the parking lot, and there's nobody there, it's out in the middle of the desert. And when you're walking, then you realize the amount of space between you and the pyramid. It takes a while, man. It's
walking towards a mountain. It's like walking towards a mountain.
It is exactly like that. When you come up to that first corner where it's all burnt and I don't know what happened to take down that part of the pyramid.
That's weapons fire.
Yeah, it looks like a battle to me. It does.
Yeah.
You could see the burnt stone all over the ground.
Absolutely.
But when you're walking up on that and then suddenly you find yourself, you're looking like this, you're looking up at it. Oh man, it's breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking. Let's take our, no, actually we can't. I have to do, man, Billy, I messed up. I didn't prepare for Billy Carson tonight. And but I'm going to do this now. Our guest tonight, Billy Carson, we'll be right back. We're discussing forbidden knowledge. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Please visit all of our sponsors. We're taking a quick break here. All of the links are below. We'll be right back. Check out Billy Carson's Forbidden Knowledge. ForbiddenKnowledge.com or ForbiddenKnowledge.tv, where you can get access to over 6,000 videos, movies, TV series, exclusive documentaries like the Black Knight Satellite. You can do it all for just $7.77 per month or $77 per year after the 3-day trial, which is also totally free to check out. It's all simple to do. Billy Carson is the best. It's simple. ForbiddenKnowledge.com or ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's the number 4BK. I will be hosting and emceeing the Conscious Life Expo this February 10th through the 13th at the LAX Hilton right here in Los Angeles, California. 200 speakers, including Linda Moulton Howe, Bashar, Deborah King, George Norrie, Daniel Sheehan, Scott Walter Johnstone, and David Wolf. Over 200 vendors, special events. This is the biggest event of its kind on planet Earth. You've got to come and hang out with all of us. Tickets and info at ConsciousLifeExpo.com. The links are below. On Saturday, April 1st, that's right, April Fool's Day, 2023, I will be hosting the Parapod Festival at the Hyatt Regency right here in Valencia, California. It's a live one-day podcast awards. It's a film festival. It's a full-on media event. We're going to have sky watching. There's going to be a Lifetime Achievement Award presented to Linda Moulton Howe. Right now, you can submit your podcast, your film, your TV series, any of your paranormal media for consideration. You can do all of that on the links below. For info and tickets, go to parapodfilmfest.com. That's parapodfilmfest.com. April 7th through the 14th, 2023, I'll be hosting and presenting on the Hidden Secrets Seminar at Sea Cruise. From Los Angeles to the Mexican Riviera on the Navigator of the Seas. That's right, up top, a giant water slide. You've got to check out the Navigator of the Seas. It's amazing. We've got Scott Walter, Adam Apollo, Nick Pope, Brad Olson, Vivian Chauvet, Jason Shirka, Robert Grant, Ruben Langdon, and another 12 amazing speakers and presenters. It's all simple to do. Just visit divinetravels.com/Hidden Secrets 2023. You know you want to go on a cruise with me. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right. Welcome back, Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Billy Carson. And tonight we're talking forbidden knowledge. And there's one thing that I wanted to mention because it's a really big deal. It's the Forbidden Knowledge World Tour. And we're going to Manchester. We're going to the United Kingdom in August for the Awakening Forbidden Knowledge event there. It's going to be incredible, Billy, and I'm so excited. I'm practicing. I am, man. Hello, Manchester. I'm going to yell that from the stage. I can't. I'm from the Bowlers Expo hall, and it's going to be amazing, man. And you pulled this one off. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. A lot of great speakers in a huge venue. We're going to have music performances, performing conscious music. I'll be speaking a few times there. I'm looking forward to this. When I can go to a conference that's mine and I can take my time and I don't have to worry about rushing for the next person to get on stage, I could take my time and do my whole presentation. without rushing and skipping slides, because I really want to get the information to the people. So I'm going to really take my time, and I'm going to execute the information that I want to get out to the masses at the expo that we're going to do there in Manchester. And then I come back on again and do another presentation on a slightly different topic. So it's going to be a huge event. We have people that we're bringing along with us that are going to be speaking there. Elizabeth will be speaking. Melissa Tittle will be speaking. Roderick Martin, Donnie Arcade will be performing. Cruz will be performing.
I can't wait. Donnie Arcade and Cruz in Manchester, man. Now, also, I believe, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here. Are we going to do an event in London as well?
Yes. So we're just waiting to lock in the venue. It is happening. We're going to actually do London before we get to Manchester. So we'll do London first, then fly over to Manchester on British Airways and get that party cranking over there. London is going to be a totally separate part of the 4Bidden tour. So we will stop off in London first.
I cannot wait for this, man. It's going to be incredible. What a busy year. What a busy year. Yeah. We're going to get to December and go, man, I'm kind of sick of Billy. Man. Elizabeth, not so much, but man.
No. I'm taking December off. December, I'm just going to take the whole month off. I just got to relax.
Yeah, it's somebody just said there was vegetarian before the flood, wasn't there? Interesting point. Okay, so back to it. When you go to a site, whether it's I like to focus on Egypt because it's right there and it's so popular and people know so much about it. They see it so often. But it's the same vibe at Machu Picchu, or it's the same vibe in Central and South America, and the Mayan structures in Cambodia and throughout Asia too as well. This stuff is all around the world. Mm-hmm. And the point that you made earlier about the Temple of the Sun in Mexico City, the thing about that is the connections are right there and they're in front of us.
Yeah.
The man doesn't want us to make those connections, right? The cultures were not talking to each other around the world. There wasn't anything going on. That's what they want us to believe.
Right.
But you step back and you look at the construction of walls in Egypt, and you look at what's going on in Peru, and there's a serious similarity there.
Oh, yeah. The brick, the way that the blocks are put together, I should say, rather, are extremely similar. The incredible different types of cuts and grooves that are pieced together like pieces of a puzzle, where you're putting megalithic blocks in places that looks like, how in the world can you fit it there? And it looks perfectly seamed and glued together or heat sealed in some weird way. You find that same technique in Egypt as you find in Mexico and in South America. And so it's really amazing that we're looking at the evidence of a global civilization that's not being acknowledged as such. It's still being taught as these people did this over here and these people developed a civilization and did this over here. No, somebody went around this entire planet and taught everybody and got everybody on the same page with the same level of technology at some point in the distant past. And the evidence of it is everywhere we look on the planet. The Aztlan Wall, Peru, Cambodia, Egypt, Machu Picchu. I mean, no matter where you look, you're going to keep finding these structures and all the similarities that they have, including the triptych designs that they have at the top of some of these pyramids. And it all leads back to one thing, one original architect.
Jason Quitt's new book, we love Jason. His new book, it's called Astral Genesis. And he sent me, before the book was published, as he was starting this journey on this, was exactly that, Billy. So he sends me, we have this Zoom conversation, and he shows me this image. I said, where did that come from? And he goes, it's KV-14 at the Valley of the Kings. I said, I was just there with Billy. We just went in KV-14.
We were there.
I'm looking at the images. So I go back and I'm looking at the pictures of you and I down at the bottom of that, and that back wall. You and I took a bunch of pictures there, and so the glyph, the hieroglyph that he was focusing on, is in between you and I. Right, we're standing, taking those pictures at the bottom of KV 14, and I told Jason, I said, dude, we were just standing right there. At that tomb, at that back wall, and that was an extraordinary thing for you and I to do, because that's a big shaft. That was a huge tomb. I mean, it took a good minute to get down all the way. It took 30 minutes, man, to walk down that thing. So anyway, Jason did just that, and so for me to understand where he got this from. And the fact that you and I and so many have walked past that symbol that's right there on the wall, and nobody has put it together, right? Like figured it out and it did some analysis. But he was able to tie that in to different sites around the world, including the purse, right? The Anunnaki purse, which is in Göbekli Tepe too as well. But this is exactly what you're talking about. And finally, he's put it together in one book where we can take a serious look at this and understand that this is forbidden knowledge. It's right there in front of us, and I don't think there's any denying the connection of cultures around the world.
There's no denying it. Shout out to Jason Quitt, by the way. I haven't seen him in a while. The last time I saw him, he flew down to he was in Miami and Aventura, and I went down and picked him up, and we went and had a good bite to eat and stuff. And I hadn't seen him since. So it's been a few years, but shout out to Quit. And so what you're talking about really when you're talking about this forbidden knowledge is the thing that has been my biggest blessing and my ability is to be able to see things that appear to be completely separate and disconnected, and then I put them together and make them make sense. And that's how I built myself to where I am. It's because people recognize that I had that ability to take things that they saw. They've even researched some of this stuff themselves, but didn't see the connection between the two. And so for some reason, I'm able to see these intricate connections across different spans of time and across different regions, across the planet, even across space, and make the connection and show people that there's a high probability that these things are actually together, not separate. And so, that's been my biggest blessing. And that's really what forbidden knowledge is really all about. It's connecting the dots. It's taking pieces of the puzzle to create an actual picture so we can get a better idea of what happened in the ancient past.
A real testament to that, testimony to that, is the film that you made. Melissa Tittle, came in and really put that thing together. That mess that we handed her. Is somebody came up to me at the Conscious Life Expo and said, Jimmy, I just wanted to tell you that what Billy did in the Black Knight satellite, I just went back and I did just put all the research and everything that you guys put together, in the film for us to get all of this together. It was extraordinary, man. And you guys were on point. And that's exactly what you're talking about there. It's here on Earth, but it does reach out to the stars. And I have lately, since we finished the film, and going back and watching the film and how everything was tied together, I was so happy about that because there was so much information. But Billy, in my research into astrophysics and our universe, I see Buddhists come up over and over again.
Yes.
And I'm talking about the last 100 years, right? All the way through to today, it sticks out like a sore thumb. It's right there. And I think that there is a very serious thing that is going on in Buddhists.
Oh, there's no doubt. It's been used in a lot of sci-fi movies because even these writers know this thing is calling out from the ancient past. Hey, something important about this Buddhist constellation is just something really important about it. And so it's been in quite a few sci-fi. They mentioned it. People have traveled there in these sci-fi movies and these shows, and so it's like, man, wow. it really, to me, is calling out from the ancient past. And then when I tell you the moment where I had the huge epiphany is where I saw all the research of this Black Knight satellite pointing towards the Bootes constellation and Epsilon. And then I hear Michio Kaku talk about the void of Bootes, and I researched the void, and I found out this void appears to be, according to people that are experts on supersymmetry and theoretical physics, it appears to be an advanced cloaked civilization. I said, I got to dig deeper. And then I find out that, let me go to the ancient text and see if there's anything about this constellation. And it's owned by Enlil, one of the Anunnaki from the original Anunnaki pantheon, which is Thoth's uncle. And I'm going, this is crazy, you know?
You just mentioned science fiction. A couple of weeks ago, I'm watching, some movie or something. And so, okay, well, yeah, but the signal came from Epsilon Bootes. I was like, oh, man, I can't get away from it. You're
everywhere.
Absolutely right. Yeah,
everywhere.
Yeah. And I had Robert Schock on the show last night. And going back, the thing is, I really need to stress this with everybody. Egypt brought a lot of things together for me that, I talk about on the show and things, but when you go and see it for yourself, right? And when you go to Dendera and you look at that Zodiac and you look up at that and you understand, first off, how old it is. Yeah. But the more that you look at that, and then you think about Göbekli Tepe and Pillar 43 and what is on that pillar is what is on that and Dendera, but they're 8,000 years apart.
Right.
There is something there. There is an understanding of astrology and the stars and the communication of what they were seeing, right? Whether it's a scorpion or it's, you know what I mean, a bull. They were seeing things in the constellation, named it, and communicated and understood it all the way to Dendera. And when people say, I keep saying dogma, but the first Zodiac was at the temple of Dendera. No, it wasn't.
No,
it was not.
It wasn't. They keep saying it, but it's not. Just like they're programmed robots to read, like they're reading a script. I mean, that's not the truth. No.
Why, for you? I've never asked you this. What is so special about Dendera? You were there with me. We were watching our friends come out of that temple in tears. Myself included. Yeah. It's a very spiritual place. What's going on? Does it have the same effect on you?
I've been there so many times, but the first time I went there, it had that effect on me. And Dendera is one of the most beautiful temples pretty much anywhere in the world. The colors are still there from thousands of years ago, which is incredible. It's one of the most incredibly painted temples that exist. And the artistry and the artisan work is on another level. Another thing is the way that it's constructed with feminine energy. I think that it brings a certain level of balance when you're within the region or the area of the temple. There's this balance that it brings to you spiritually. So it's harmonic. It's in the right vibration to bring anyone out of balance in balance. It's just an incredible place. Great video there too, a clip of you in there. The detail work is just immaculate. And it's the temple where they have the Hathors. Now these Hathors, according to the ancient Egyptians, were elementals. And they were their job at that time were to create people. So they call them birthing chambers, right? But what they were doing was cloning. It was cloning people. This is where you read in the Sumerian tablets where they were using them for cloning purposes, but the clones weren't able to mate and have babies. So Isis decides to take an egg from an existing hominid and put it in her womb and take it to term for 10 months. And then she gave birth to Adamu, which means first man, not the first human being, but the first one that can come through the womb that is not a clone, that has the capability of mating and creating offspring on its own. And so, but this temple is just one of these places that harmonically vibrationally, it just does something really special to you, the way that it's designed, the way that it's shaped, and the energy, the feminine balanced energy that went into this temple. It's a feminine temple. And I think it just brings harmony and balance to the universe.
It and watching this video here, it looks like I'm just going over the same area. No, I'm walking one row after another, and this is half of the main temple. The other half is behind me, but that's, you can see and maybe appreciate the size of this, because each one of these sections you're looking at is about 10 feet tall. Yeah. And when I pan up, you can count. Look at, I'm just blown away. So you can count the sections. And you can see how many, that's 50, 60, maybe even more.
That's more, yeah.
And you can see all of the rows going down. Look, each one of those rows is, probably 10, 12 feet in between the pillars. And look how many rows are just right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then whatever's, on the other side of me right there. It is ginormous. And every single square inch has art on it.
It's covered. Every square inch is covered, including the underground crypts that we climbed into in there. And here's what's amazing. In those underground crypts, there is no soot in there, which means they didn't use torches for light. They used light bulbs. And we know they use light bulbs because they etched the light bulbs into the granite, the magnetized granite in the crypts underground.
When you, and not enough is said about that. It's not just Dendera. It's all over Egypt.
Right.
So, you go to the Valley of the Kings and, or you go into the Serapeum, or the tunnel in the Bent Pyramid. Right. Or the tunnel in any pyramid, to ascend or descend into them. There is an absence of soot. Yeah. Right. So if they're using oil lamps, if you've ever in your life, and I've done it, you burn an oil lamp inside your house, in a few minutes, you got a black dot on the ceiling. Right.
That's right.
Instantly. That's just the way that it is. You've done this. You've been camping. You know what happens. There is none of that anywhere in Egypt. Now, there are a couple spots in a couple of temples where they cooked food.
Yes.
Right? And you can see that's a blackened ceiling in there, right? And it's still there and it's undisturbed. Yes. But for the rest of these tunnels, and especially the Valley of the Kings, I think is a great example of that. How did they light the bottom of that shaft to get all that artwork done, and the painting and the carving?
It's incredible. And they used the light bulb that's connected to the JED. The JED would pick up the ambient wireless energy that was already being transmitted via Obelisk and the Great Pyramid. The Obelisk would capture the ambient wireless power that was being transmitted from the Great Pyramid and take it around the region. And the Obelisk, whoever had a JED, can capture that ambient energy as well. So they had light bulbs. We know they had electricity because they found millions of pieces of electroplated gold there, which you can't electroplate something gold if you don't have electricity to electroplate it. So it's not even a thing that, a question. It's real. It happened. They had electricity.
There, you know what I do have, Billy, since we're on the subject of this, I think I have the Serapeum where we do the I think it's here. I don't know, plasma blast, something melt.
Yeah. Okay, right.
And I think this is it. Everybody, just be patient with me for a second. And I am going to fast forward this because it's, okay. So here it is here. So this is, I'm up top and somebody starts yelling Jimmy. I think it was Jimmy.
Jimmy was yelling at me.
Yeah. He says, Billy needs you. So I'm walking in. I've got it muted. So this is Jimmy. He comes up and pulls me down. I didn't know that this was the spot that you've talked about before on the show. Yeah, there's Jimmy right there with his Eddie Van Halen shirt on.
Right.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, Billy, take us through this, because Jimmy pulls me around here, and there you are, right? Okay, so take us through this.
Yeah, all these people you see here are the people with us on our private tour. These aren't random people. And so what we're looking at is this warped granite sarcophagus, which weighs about 100 tons. It's got etched into each side a stargate. This is not me saying it's a stargate, it's everyone else. And you see when you turn around from where it's warped and you look at the wall, you can see energetically something either went into the wall or came out of that wall, and directly in front of that opening, that crack that was torn out of the wall, is where the granite on that sarcophagus, which weighs about 100 tons, solid granite, is actually bent and warped. It's hard to detect the warping from this video, but it's bent as if you would just, take some butter and just push your hand into the butter.
Yeah,
It's
I'm doing it.
You're doing a good job there. That shows.
I'm trying to show everybody.
Yeah.
You can see the lines
Right.
that were once flat, right? And then this melted and pushed in. And you can see that the carving didn't happen after. The carving was already there before. You can see the writing and everything else, and how it was just melted and pushed in.
Right. And either energetically, something, in my opinion, I think something came through the wall in that location.
Right.
And it extended out towards that granite. And in some way, it altered the atomic structure of that granite, which allowed it to be warped and bent like that without cracking or breaking, which I don't know if anyone here handles granite. I've been around granite for a long time in my travels around the world to study these ancient cultures. You just don't warp or bend granite. It cracks or it breaks if you're strong enough to even do that. A lot of the times you would need a diamond bit to do it.
Right.
So this is very, very difficult stuff to do, to change the structure of granite. Something energetic came through that hole right behind it and altered it in some amazing way. So it's a pretty incredible thing. And no bulls have ever been found in any of these sarcophaguses. These are part of Enki's halls of Amenti. These are the rejuvenation chambers where, in my opinion, they would put bodies in, and then they would transfer their consciousness from one body to another so they can walk amongst men, but unlike a man, according to the Emerald Tablets.
I was so blown away. I've got this muted right now, but when you hear Billy tell, he's walking me through this in this video on the side of this, and seeing this firsthand. This is Billy, you're filming me, actually, I think, right there, right? I think you were holding the camera, and I was just, what? Because when you see, first off, everybody needs to understand, we're standing in front of a granite box that probably weighs 100 tons.
Yeah.
It is, you can see it's many feet above my head. I'm 6 foot. I don't know what it was to the lip, but it's high. And the size of this black, it's dense. I don't have another word for it. I mean, when you knock on that, it's like going out into the street and knocking on your street outside. It's like that. It's that solid. And to see, if you take the time, well, I'm going to stress, listen to what I'm saying, everybody. If you're taking the time to carve a giant box this size, you're not messing it up.
No.
You're not going to screw it up.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it. It's perfect. All the lines, the things, the carving, the hieroglyph, that it's divine in its perfection and its beauty. Everything is square and perfect, and all of a sudden you're just going to mess it up.
Yeah.
No. It was melted, and you can tell that it was melted. And it's the one point. Why would you spend, I don't know how much time to carve that block, and mess it up.
Yeah.
No.
Or take one that was I guess warped already and then turn it into the box.
Yeah, you're not going
to use an imperfect box. So, and the thing about those boxes, the one that's warped like that with that hole in the wall is the only one of its kind in the entire Serapeum.
Yeah, it's so strange. Yeah, it's so strange. One of the the Serapeum, however you want to pronounce it, people don't understand how big it is. Yeah. You don't get it. And I equate it to a shopping center. Mm-hmm. When you're at a shopping center and you're walking down and you got Florsham shoes over here and you've got Orange Julius over here and you've got the and the size of the hallway that you're in the shopping center, that's the size of the Serapeum. It's like that big. The ceiling, the width, and these rooms. So when you walk through, I have this here. I'm going to mute it because people don't need to hear you and I goofing off. But Billy, so here we are entering. Let me fast forward. Let's get in here. There's Jimmy. Love that guy, man. He's the best.
Great guy.
So we turn around and we walk inside, and this is what happens, everybody. Check this out. So you just walk down the stairs, and then boom. And this is under sand. Yeah. The Sahara Desert.
Under the Sahara Desert
is above us.
Yeah.
Look at this. And this is the small part. Right? This is the small part. This is the entrance, and look how big it is. But when you come down here, and what Billy is referring to, let me fast forward just a little bit. There, look at that, and there is one after another.
Mm-hmm. And they get bigger and bigger and bigger.
I mean, I wasn't ready for that, man. I simply. I simply wasn't prepared.
Mm-hmm. Now, Jimmy, take note of this. You see how those things fit in these alcoves?
Yes.
Those gigantic sarcophagi. You can't maneuver those down into the Serapeum and then maneuver them into those locations, those alcoves, those halls, or whatever you want to call them. They have to have been materialized in there. You can't build them in there because to build a granite box that large, you need 4 times the size of that in granite to chop it down to that size. So you can't build them in there. So how do you get them in these alcoves and navigate them through this hallway system? You have to materialize them there. That's the only way.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. If you've ever tried to move a refrigerator into your apartment, you know what that takes, right? To negotiate the stairs with your new sofa. Yeah. You can't do it. It's impossible, right? Yeah. And so you go there and you look at the alcove and you're looking at 100-ton box, right? With the lid. That lid, it doesn't do it justice in the video. That lid is 3 feet thick.
Yeah,
it's massive. Thick. It's not. It looks in the video like no. It's 3 feet tall. How is that negotiated and it makes a turn? Comes down the stairs. And there's dozens of them. It's not just one. It's just one after another going down that hallway. I was not prepared for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's incredible. Just an incredible thing to be able to even be a part of, to walk through the Sahara Desert, to go down there and actually walk into that ancient site, thinking of, some of the people that actually walked down there and walked there to utilize those things back in ancient times.
Okay, let's get into the forbidden knowledge part of this. The dogma is they made those boxes to bury cows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not making that up, right? But they put bulls in there. What was the purpose of that? It's a facility.
You wanted the key thing in any type of suppression is distraction and to change the way somebody perceives something. So once the mainstream or the main people say, look, this is Sabari bulls, they go, oh, that's why they're big. It's Sabari. It logically, initially, it makes sense. And so nobody will ever really truthfully question it any deeper, especially if the Board of Antiquities is telling every single person that's a mainstream tour guide, this is your script. They actually get a physical paper script that they have to recite. And they have to say that script. And if they don't, they get in trouble, right? They can lose their job, get fined, even be put in jail. So when you're focusing on that level of suppression at that high level, the main goal is distraction to take and deter someone from understanding and really finding out the truth of the ancient past. The fact that when you discover that Enki, Thoth, and Lil, they all had these halls of amenities, what they called them, where they themselves would go and put their own bodies in. They weren't human bodies that they took from somebody. They weren't body snatchers. According to them, they fashioned their own bodies. So that means they made their own clones. And then they would transfer their consciousness into a body. They would leave it they would leave the previous body in one of these rejuvenation chambers for 10 years. And they would come back later and change out. It was just this weird thing. Why would they write this in tablets? I have no idea, but this is what they were saying. Now, when I go there and I hear this fanciful story in text, but then I go there in person and witness these things for myself and get inside the box, which I've been inside these boxes, and you realize it's technological. It's not for burying any kind of animal or any kind of bull for sure, or cows. It was made for a reason. The way it's designed is made for a reason. Even the way that the halls are curved, it's made with vitrification. To create these incredible halls without collapse, they use a vitrifying boring machine, which we use today in modern technology to create underground tunnels for high-speed trains and such. They use that type of technology to bore out this Serapeum. And so the walls are vitrified, sealing them, meaning there's no need for excavation of the material that they carved out to create the hall in the first place. I mean, this thing is super duper advanced. And it's just an incredible honor. Look how big that lid is. Look at that lid.
See, now, in all of the other shots where you don't have somebody there for perspective, right, to get a feel for the size of this.
Yeah.
Look at this. He is standing under. Look at the size, the thickness of that lid, man. And now you get a feel for what we are suggesting here. You weren't just pushing this stuff down the hall with a 2-wheel dolly you got from U-Haul.
No.
I mean, no.
We would struggle today to get these out of there without breaking them into pieces. We'd have to cut them into 4s and take it out in chunks.
It's a mind-blowing experience. When I got back from Egypt, I was so blown away by the Serapeum. And so it's right next to the step pyramid. Well, not right next to, you gotta, it's a little bit,
but it's close.
But you walk to it.
Yeah.
So Billy and I, he goes, okay, Jimmy, we're going to the Serapeum. I said, okay. So Billy and I I'm like, where is it? So sand dunes, and we're on this dirt road. We kind of round the corner. I'm like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Sand dunes, right? And then all this, it's right. The stairs just descend in the middle of the sand, down, and you see the doorway, down at the bottom. It doesn't compute, man. No. It doesn't compute. You're looking around at the Sahara Desert. I keep saying this. It's sand dunes, people, right? Yeah. And then you don't get it. You walk through that door, and this is what is underneath the sand. It's extraordinary to see. So when I came back from Egypt, Billy, I started going into the history, and I found the first drawing from British explorers in 1830 when they discovered the Serapeum, and they drew the interior. When they first went in, I think the drawing that I found was 1831. Okay. First one. So the British explorers are standing there, and it's this drawing, and it looks exactly the same.
Man.
This arch hallway, right? With this stuff it was intact when they first, what am I saying? Found the doorway and unsealed the chamber and went inside of it. It looked exactly like it does today. And the drawing is incredible. I mean, it's the size. It's huge.
And
it's
think
huge.
of how many earthquakes it's withstood without any collapse on the inside.
No. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's beautiful. But I was completely. And when you see this here, I know I froze. I paused this. Let me unpause this. This will give you some idea of the size of what we are talking about here.
Yeah, that's a partially moved lid. They kind of slid it back a little bit. It's overlapping the base, and to allow you can get inside that one possibly from one corner in the front. It's just megalithic, man. Just megalithic.
Oh man, that was one of the highlights for the trip for me was that, because you don't prepare yourself for the size. I'm not talking about the sarcophagus, the box. Yeah, okay. I'm talking about the entire Serapeum. You're not prepared for that. Yeah. No. Pick the shopping mall that you hung out at as a kid when you played video games, and this is bigger.
Yeah, incredible. It's an incredible sight to see. Something you have to see in person. So come with us this year, and you'll get a chance to see this and touch it with your own hands and see it with your own eyes.
Okay, back to the forbidden knowledge. We've talked about Aswan a lot. Mm-hmm. When you go to Luxor and you see that giant obelisk at the entrance of the Luxor temple, and I don't know how big it is, 80 feet, 8 stories, whatever. It's giant.
Crazy numbers.
Red granite. It's huge, but it's perfect. And you look at that and you have to ask yourself, how did they tip it upright? Number one, I'm very curious about that. But how was that moved? Because you have to get that out of the core.
Yeah.
It's, and we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of tons.
Yeah.
Not 10 tons, not 100. I mean, it is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are they lifting that out? Forget about getting it down to the Nile, or how they got it across the sand, or how they, how they made it up to Cairo and I have no idea. But how did they get? What's the deal, man?
Well, the mainstream story is that they use water and these special tools to chisel it out of the quarry, and then once they did that, they would load it onto the back of a ship. Now, come on. You're not going to put that, any boat that they had at that time, if you put that on the boat is sinking instantaneously. Instantaneously, the boat is going to sink or break apart into pieces right there wherever it lay. You're not going to just casually lift that out of the quarry and just drop it on the back of a boat and sail it down the Nile. It's not going to happen. If you go up to a lot of these obelisks, they're magnetized granite, which is pretty interesting. And so when I go to Egypt, I take my old-fashioned compass. You can't use the kind that's in your cell phone because those work off of a processor, right? So they're not going to read any variances in electromagnetic fields. But when you go with an old-fashioned compass and you start moving it around close to the granite on the obelisks, you'll find certain areas where the true north starts to move and change, which means, in my opinion, they change the polarity of the atoms, the orientation of the field and the atoms in the actual granite, and use some form of anti-gravity technology that we have not rediscovered till this very day.
I had to post this, if you don't mind. It's just a great picture. This is an obvious situation where we are looking at technology. There isn't another way to explain it. That's a bulb. That's glass. That's a filament. Those are cables. This is some kind of, in my opinion, nobody can see my cursor. Okay. I'm sitting here describing them like I've got a laser pointer here, but it looks like a heat sink, some kind of transformer heat sink that is supporting this on the end. This, of course, is in the crypt at Dendera, the Dendera light bulbs. Right after this, Billy and I saw a second set of Dendera light bulbs in another temple there at Dendera. But going back to Aswan, what fascinates me so much about that is when we think about the time. Just go with the dogma, Billy. Let's just go with what they are telling us.
Right.
They are telling us at 3000 BC, without boats, without that, they didn't have ocean-going barges. Okay, that stuff didn't exist. You could have a little papyrus raft. Okay, for two people, you can go fishing in the Nile. Okay, all right, it's a stretch, but let's go with that. It's a whole nother thing to consider when you've got 100-foot, 250-ton red granite obelisk that you're going to float up the Nile, or 100-ton blocks for the antechambers, the relieving chambers at the King's Chamber. There's how many of those up there? There's 5 levels. Yeah. There's 100 of them, right?
100,
yeah. And they weigh between 70 and 100 tons each. 70 each. And they're stacked up above the King's Chamber. That how are those lifted out of Aswan? And it just
without being broken. Will you transport them that far with rudimentary? If they did, with rudimentary tool, I guess transportation, if you want to call it that, without wheels. I don't know how they did it, but with rudimentary transportation, without cracking or breaking them, because they are so perfect, you can't put a human hair in between them today.
No, you can't do it. You can't do it. I read this statement. This is from an Egyptologist, history, anthropology, that said, we cracked it. They built wooden sledges and used water and poured water on the sand, and they dragged it across the Sahara Desert for 500 miles. So I did some math. I did some math, Billy, 500 miles. So if they moved it a foot a minute, okay, a foot a minute, 100-ton block, and you've got 100 men with ropes, right? They didn't have horses, right?
No.
Elephants. Anyway, pulling 100 years.
Yeah.
100 years.
When you analyze all the potential theories and you see how they become crackpot theories, just like the mud ramp theory that they came up with, which is what they teach in universities in ancient. When I studied ancient civilizations at Harvard, they told they were teaching the mud ramp theory, and I'm thinking mud ramps. You would need more mud. You would need more mass of mud than the pyramid itself to create the ramp to put the bricks in, to put the stones in place. So we're talking about things that are crackpot theories and crackpot ideas. Didn't happen.
Now, this photo, that's the back of my bald head, everybody. That
You're not bald, man.
So that's the back of my head. That's Elizabeth over there. Billy took this picture. This is the unfinished obelisk in Aswan. 170 feet. 170 feet.
Yeah.
Think about and look at the, and here's somebody, if you go with the orthodox part of this, somebody says, well, okay, it cracked, so they didn't finish it.
Yeah.
Well, let's just study this picture for a second. We're talking thousands of years ago. And if there wasn't any magic involved, any levitation, any of that, okay, somebody actually thought that they were going to lift that out.
Yes. Right.
Power. They were going to lift that out.
Yeah.
And they did, though. See, that's the other part. There are obelisks. There's an original obelisk in Central Park. There's a couple in Paris. There's one at the Vatican.
And Rome.
Yep, there's one in Rome. Paris, Germany. They're all over the world. So they got them out somehow. And, of course, there's a couple in Karnak. There's the one in Luxor.
Right.
And they haven't fallen over. That's the other thing. Thousands of years.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. But this is one of my favorite pictures that you took, Billy, and it kind of gives you. If look at me and look at Elizabeth, that's one thing. See the people.
Look at the people down there.
Yeah, at the front of it, that gives you an idea of the size of that. Right?
Megalithic. I was way above them on a stone, on a piece of giant granite protruding from the quarry, and I took that photo in panorama mode. But you can see the people there to the far right. Those people are puny. They look like ants compared to this thing.
I was, I keep saying this, but when you go around Egypt, you're not prepared for most of. You're not. You see it in pictures and things, but when you step up in front of this stuff and see it for yourself, it's just. I mean, your hair just. It's my. But this, no, you're not ready for this. No, man. No, or the Colossus of Memnon.
Oh yeah.
2 single pieces of granite.
Right.
Now they've been, broken over the years, and raiders came in and they've been put back together. But originally, single blocks of granite, and those are, what would you say, 50 feet tall?
At least 50 to 60 feet tall. Each one made out of one solid stone. Each one made out of one piece.
It's
you need something 3 to 4 times the size of what's there to carve it down to that size.
The beauty, right? And you sit and you just look at that. It's just incredible. I can't wait, man. We're going back to Egypt. We've got so much we're doing this year, everybody. Please come and see us in the United Kingdom in Manchester. As soon as we get the London event locked down, we'll get that information to you. We're going to Egypt twice in October. Now, before I let you go, Billy, we're doing 2 trips to Egypt for a reason. Okay, the long one is for those out there that have the time and probably there for the first time, and you just need to see a bunch of stuff. It's long. It takes a lot of energy. Takes a lot of time. But it's special. And then we've put together a compacted version where we're going to see all the museums in Cairo. We can go to Saqqara. We can go to Dashur and do the things that are right there, centralized in Egypt. And it's 4 days, 4.5 days, 5 days. And you can get in and get out and just, see the Great Pyramid, go to the Sphinx, do all of those things, hit the museums, head to Saqqara, see the Red Pyramid and the Red Pyramid. And so it's a shorter, compacted trip. But I think that for a lot of people, that is the way to go, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because some people just don't have the vacation time. They don't want to be away from their kids that long. It could be a financial issue where, going for 4 days financially just makes more sense for them. So there's variations of reasons why somebody would want to select the 4-day trip versus 10 days. And so we decided to try to make something that can work for everyone and give everyone an opportunity to go there and see this with their own eyes, touch it with their own hands, and stop relying on Google for the pictures and the video clips and YouTube for the video clips. Once you see it, it's another level. Once you touch it, it's another level. Your mind will never go back. It's something that's so magnificent that you just have to be there in person to witness it with your own eyes.
The spiritual side of this, it's different for everybody. And I was told that over the years. Then you go and experience, when you least expect it, you're going to get slapped. When you least expect it, man, it's going to be like, whoa. It is so much fun. But that short trip, I got to tell you something, Billy. Seriously, the short trip, there's something to be said about having breakfast every morning at the base of the Great Pyramid.
Hey, man, what could be better?
Dinner,
weather, no rain.
No rain. Hey, the first night that I got there, you arrived later, right? And so I got there early, and I hooked up with some people from the tour. I said, man, talk to Jimmy. I said, we're going to the Great Pyramid tonight. We just want to have dinner. So we went to the Mene House and the restaurant, which is outdoor at the base. It's right there.
At the base.
I couldn't believe it. And I'm sitting there with Matt and his wife, and the way that it's lit up, you almost can't believe it. You can reach out and touch it. It's right there at your table.
Yeah,
it's incredible, man. It's incredible. So if you take the short tour, you can do that morning and night, every night, and eat right there at the restaurant. It's incredible.
Yep, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing everyone there. Right after that, in November, we're going to Cambodia to Angkor Wat.
Man,
that's another tour we got.
And I can't do that trip because I'm going to Machu Picchu.
Gotcha. Man, amazing.
I know. I'm so upset about that. But I remember. You remember this? You sent me pictures of you at Machu Picchu, and I was like, "Man, are you kidding me?" And so anyway, so now I'm getting my opportunity to go down there with Brian Forrester, and he's amazing.
Oh yeah, I love Brian.
So you're going to Cambodia and Angkor Wat. It was one of those things. Cambodia. See, this is how Billy. Can I tell everybody before we say goodnight? This is how Billy does it. We're just hanging out in the chat, and somebody says, "Hey, man, what about Cambodia?" It took Elizabeth like 6 hours. Yeah. Okay, it's booked. Right?
Like, oh and guess what? Within 12 hours, 30 people had already booked tickets. We didn't even put an ad out for it.
That's how that Cambodia trip came out, and I was already booked for Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
But so anyway, Cambodia, what a great year! So we've got Awakening Expo, we've got Egypt, we've got the Conscious Awards, 4Bidden Conscious Awards. July 30th. We've got the Parapod Festival coming up in a couple of weeks. This is just part of our 2023 with Forbidden Knowledge. It's going to be a great year, Billy, and thank you for doing everything. And tell Elizabeth hello, okay?
I sure will. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks, Fader Nuts.
Billy Carson, the best. The links are below. Good night, Billy.
Good night.
Get some rest. Billy's Boot Camp. So the links for everything are below. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv, ForbiddenKnowledge.com. All of the events, everything that we are doing are right there. And as we add events and get more information, I'll get it to all of you. It's going to be a great year. Thank you, Billy. Great conversation tonight. Thank you, Fader Knots. Let's see. Tomorrow night, what are we doing? Tomorrow? I got a special announcement. Thursday night, Randall Carlson, right here on Fade to Black. Yeah, that's Thursday night. So I left that off because it was a very special announcement. So Randall Carlson is here Thursday night. So Fade to Black is produced by. I got to get things ready here. I'm not quite ready. Produced by Hill J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and this broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2023 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, Cheryl Costa is here. We are going to discuss UFOs in your state. That's tomorrow night, Cheryl Costa. Thursday night, Randall Carlson. And with that, I'm just going to say, go back, Lee Tappy.